Hi, my name is Corey and welcome to another design tutorial. So, what we're going to make today is going to be a flower crown. These have been really trendy lately with a lot of weddings in the spring as well as in the fall. And recently we made one for our Richmond open house and a lot of people were curious how we made them. So I just wanted to give you a nice little design tutorial on how I made one. With making this, we're going to start with green chenille stem. I have it on this lovely roll here, which makes it so much easier because you don't have to piece together 2 pieces or 3 pieces of the 12-inch one. You can just make one long strip, so that way you don't have to worry about adhering them together. So I start with 2 30-inch long strands. So I'm just going to get my tape measure out here and measure from 0 all the way to the 30. Okay, and another nifty thing is they have a cutter art built in on them, so that way all I have to do is slide the chenille stem in and I can pop it. Okay, so then we will get our second one going. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line the 2 of them up together and kind of stretch them out a little bit to get some of that curve out. Okay, so then I'm going to take them and I'm going to separate like a little bit of the end here and just put a little twist on there to hold the 2 together. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of loop-like chains to all the way down the chenille stem. So I'm going to take them and we're just going to bind it together here. They wind up being about an inch, inch and a half long and maybe about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide. So I'm just going to make a series of these loops down the chenille stems. And they don't have to be perfect loops. You can just, if one's a little bit bigger than the other, it's totally fine. They're going to get covered up. This is just going to be our foundation work for our greenery and our flowers. Okay, so here we're going to have, when you're done, it's going to look similar to this. So you have all your loops going all the way down, and then you have 2 ends that are just little straggly pieces of chenille stem. So what I usually do is I measure them usually on whoever I'm making its forehead. But since making it for me, I'm just going to tip them up on top of my head to make sure it just frames the crown of my head. So we're going to just bind them together, and usually you'll have 1 or 2 loops that are going to overlap with each other, which is perfectly fine. And you're just going to take your chenille stem and the 2 ends you're just going to wrap around where in between 2 of the eyelets on our little chain. So we're just going to wrap that around there. Usually I like to use Italian ruscus for my base on this. So I have a nice pile of Italian ruscus already cut up. And for my adhesive, I usually use Oasis brand floral adhesive. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to put a nice little pull on a piece of cellophane. If you want to use the cellophane off of a bunch of flowers, or if you want to cut some off a roll, it's perfectly fine. Both work just as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to take little pieces of your ruscus, and you're just going to dip them into your glue. And then you're going to just adhere them onto the chenille stem. Okay, so once you have a nice full layer of your Italian ruscus, I like to soften it a little bit with a little bit of plimosa grass. Okay, so once you get your plimosa in, you're going to wind up with something looking very similar to this, a nice full lush halo. Now, because we're making this to accompany a bouquet, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of silver dollar eucalyptus in, just so it's going to tie the 2 looks together. So I have some nice little burgundy ranunculus here. We're just going to take a couple heads of. And then we're also going to take a couple of the little undeveloped buds. Okay, and then we're going to take some of these creamy colored spray roses. We're just going to pop their little heads off. I tend to start with my ranunculus first just because they're a little bit larger than the spray roses would be. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area that I had the loop that doubled, only because that's going to be a little bit more of a reinforced backing to adhere these two. So it's going to be a little bit more of a dense chenille stem backing that's really going to hold up a lot better with the weight of the flowers. Okay, so now we have our 2 ranunculus blooms on there. And we're going to take these little cream spray roses, since they're opened up a little bit more than the peach ones are. And just place these in between the ranunculus and just around them, and just create a nice bed for them to be situated in. Okay, so now that our flower portion is done on this, what I usually like to do is on the back of it, I compensate with about the whole thing with this whole bohemian thing to be very flowy and earthy. So we add a little bit of a streamer, and we just go right onto the back here and secure it to the chenille stem. And there you have it. A flower crown with matching streamers, bow, here to the back. This is going to give you a really nice presentation, and it's something that's really on trend that we've been seeing a lot of over the past few years. So a flower crown construction is a real easy add-on to put onto any of your weddings or special events, as well as proms and other dances. So it's an easy way to incorporate all your leftovers from making bouquets and boutonnieres and corsages, and just an easy add-on. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial, and thank you so much for watching.